excited to be back home, High Point Solutions Stadium. A great opponent in Tulane, very well-coached football team. I think Coach Johnson does an excellent job, someone whose pedigree includes a national championship and a Super Bowl victory. I felt like in 2012 when we played them down in New Orleans that they were a really, really well-coached football team, and you can see that on film. They went to the first bowl game since 2002 last year as a program. They've got a young football team, a hungry football team, and you see that through their two deep. They've got a sprinkling of younger players that are playing a lot of football for them that are going to be really good football players, and they're getting better week by week. So it's a great challenge for us this week to get ready and prepare. Coming off a very physical football game and knowing that, that when you play the Naval Academy, the challenges aren't just during Navy week, but the week after. I think the percentage I saw was 49% victory the week after you play Navy since 2006. So it's a challenge the week you play them, and it's a challenge the week after. Questions?
Now, is that just the physical aspect or all the mental preparation that also goes into Navy and then getting completely off of that the following week?
Sure, I think it's a combination of both. There's no doubt it's an extremely physical football game, the way they play on offense, defense, special teams, and also the mental gymnastics you have to make to play against them on offense and defense, because they're unique in both aspects, and then to get back playing your base defense against a more conventional offense.
To that end, Kyle, obviously we see a pretty long injury report. How important is depth going to be this week? More, I mean, I know it's always important, but is it come into play even more this week?
Sure. Week 5, week 5 of the season, every team in the country has having their depth get tested, and we've got some guys that are not as healthy, but we got other guys like Nick Arch, Andre Patton, Nadir Barnwell, Brian Leone. They're on their way back or back. They're at different stages of it, but this is kind of the ebbs and flows of the season, and you have to count on your depth to plug in, and then count on your coaching staff to make sure that the players that are available to you, we're putting them in the best possible position to help us.
Kyle, how big would getting Andre Patton back be, given how well he played in training camp?
It's exciting for us to get Andre back. You're absolutely right about that. He got injured on a great catch, a touchdown catch in the second scrimmage, fully extended, kind of a little bit of a freak thing that he got injured on. It's really exciting. We had him running around last week. He wasn't cleared to play just yet, but he looked pretty healthy to me. So, it's definitely a bonus to have one more guy to add to that wide receiver mix. That'll help us.
Kyle, Justin Goodwin, could you tell us the story of moving him to defense and then moving him back? What went into both decisions?
What went into both decisions was the ability to get the best players on the team on the field. I think that's how you have to make those type of decisions, and we felt the running back room was one of the deeper rooms on our team. At that point, when we made the decision, we felt like we needed some more depth in the secondary. And when I talked to Justin, Justin's a selfless football player. He's a team-first guy. He's a very gifted athlete. And when I said to him, I said, listen, we can leave you on offense if you want, and you're going to play. But if we put you on defense, you might play the whole game. And he said, Coach, I'll do whatever's best for the team. And I always appreciate guys like that, and we've got a lot of them on this football team like that. Then he got dinged up a little bit, and as we were getting ready for the game a couple weeks ago, I felt the best opportunity for him to play in that game was to go back to offense, where he'd have a little bit more to fall back on. So we put him back on offense, and sure enough, it ends up being a good move for us, because to have him back running the football on Saturday, I was actually incorrect post-game. I thought it was Desiree had his first 100-yard game. It was Justin. But the combination of those two guys should allow us to continue to have a quality guy to hand the ball to, despite the fact that we don't have PJ.
Hey, Kyle, just two kind of like bookkeeping questions with the running backs. Is Savon the plan still to reevaluate him after Michigan?
Correct. We're gonna reevaluate him on the bye week. That was the plan with the medical people.
And then with Paul, I don't know what his deal was with freshman year, and I know it's maybe not something you've even considered. Does he have a chance to get a sixth year with the injury, or when this injury happens, is it too late?
I'd have to talk to the medical staff about that. And then what happens is that you put all that paperwork together and you send that to the conference office. And the conference reviews it and they make a decision. It's really not our decision to make. We just submit the records and then the conference makes the decision.
So you don't know right now yet?
No, I haven't looked into it enough yet.
Coach, you have Kamoko Toure leading the team in sacks. When he committed here, he never played a high school game. What did you see in him exactly that made you believe he could be that kind of player?
Kamoko is an explosive athlete, and what I saw was an athlete that we didn't have in our program. We didn't have a guy like Kamoko Toure in our program, and I felt that with the right guy coaching him, and I think Jim Panagos is the right guy coaching him, and in the right system, and I feel like Coach Rossi's got the right system for him, that he really could be an exceptional football player. Now, he's not an exceptional football player just yet, but he has been productive. And as he continues to garner experience and continues to play within our system, I think his ceiling's pretty high.
With a lot of cornerbacks beat up on the injury report this week, are there any new guys that haven't played yet that you're looking at?
Cam Lott would be the next guy. He would be the next guy in the depth that'll take reps with the defense this week, and we did that a couple weeks ago as well, so that won't be new to him. He's the youngest guy, I think, right now that understands enough of our defense to be able to compete.
What have you seen from him so far?
An understanding of where to be. He's trying to play with technique. He's a young player, so all these things he's learning on the run, but he did have the advantage of spring because he got here in January. So I think it's that added knowledge that gives him the best chance as a young player to help us.
Coach, how has Paul handled the news of his injury since it first happened on Saturday?
As well as any athlete could possibly handle it. I haven't seen him hang his head one bit. I haven't seen a frown on his face. He's as determined as he's ever been to come back next year better than ever, and I have no doubt in my mind that he will. He came into this training camp in exceptional condition, and the injury he got on Saturday is just a wrong place, wrong time injury. So we're going to fix it just like we did with guys like David Maluski, and I have no doubt in my mind that he'll come back even better next year.
Do you look at this game as a potential trap game? Do you see with Michigan going ahead? Do you even believe in the term trap game?
I don't, and I look at this game as an opportunity to be 1-0. It's the only way I look at this game. Whether you want to consider it fortunate or unfortunate, I was here in 2010 when Tulane came up here and whipped us in our own stadium. So the opportunity to be 1-0 in our home stadium in a major college football game, that's enough of a challenge for me. We got a really well-coached football team in Tulane coming in here, and it's going to take all of our focus and energy to be 1-0 on Saturday.
Kyle, you mentioned David. Would you encourage Paul to kind of seek him out? Is David the kind of guy who's going to, as one of your captains, who's going to go and talk to him, help him kind of get through it for when those times come that you do struggle with it?
If I saw a need for that, I would. I can't tell you I have, though. And maybe he has on his own. I don't know that. He may have done that. Maybe David went to him on his own. I don't know that. But Paul he comes across to me like a very positive guy, somebody with a real positive attitude. So when a player needs help, I think a lot of times somebody in his peer group who's been through the same experience can be a tremendous help. But it'd probably be a good question for Paul. I'm not sure he's needed that just yet.
Kyle, that last play of the game, I know you guys practice probably every situation. Can you talk about when you do that? Obviously there's so many different situations that come up. When do you cover them? Do you cover them just once during the season? Just how all that works.
We cover them every Thursday. Yeah, we have a period on Thursday practice that we call last play of the game, end of game scenarios, and you do them from different down and distances as you go through the year. You try and just get a catalog of all the different scenarios that come up because there's not a lot of plays you get in that situation, but there's a couple depending on the field zone you're in.
Is the 2010 game you referenced, has that been a talking point for these guys, just the feeling of how that played out? It was homecoming and everything?
I don't know that it'll be a talking point, for the week. This is a different team, a different coaching staff. I was here, but this coaching staff was not. This group of players on defense is completely different. None of them were a part of that game. So to me, I don't know that you have to go back that far, to really see every week that teams that don't come to play in major college football get beat.
I have follow-ups on each of the last two questions. On Dan's, is that pretty much as close to the end zone as you play like Hail Mary defense? I think that's what that was, depending on the field position. You said, they were only like 30 yards away. Is that as close to the field as you drop back that far?
It was. I think the situation was it 4th and 20 from the 20? Was that the last play of the game?
Yeah.
We've moved on, so I have to think back now. 4th and 20 from the 20. If they can't break the goal line, the game's over. So you're at that point in the game. What I would say is you're defending the goal line. You're not defending anything else.
And then you mentioned the 2010 game. The 2012 game was your first game as head coach.
And Coach Johnson's.
And Coach Johnson's. Is that something? Can you just reflect on that? You know, obviously a big moment in your career, and you know how fondly you remember that game. What you remember about that game?
I guess what I remember about that game is coming out of the tunnel for the first time. Yeah, the first time you do anything, it's always special. It's always a little different. And the first time you come out of the tunnel with the team, you know, on the road in the Superdome was a great venue, you know, for football. My impressions after the game was that was a really well-coached football team. And as Coach Johnson got a chance to recruit his players, they were going to get better and better. Now, I know their record doesn't reflect that this year, but you look back to last year and the ability to take that team to a bowl game for the first time in a decade. This is a very well-coached football team, and well-coached football teams get better as the year goes on, and I think that'll be the case with these guys. And you could see it on film, even though, again, the score doesn't necessarily reflect it.
Any other questions?
Thank you, guys.